You may not talk about it often, but you still wonder, what's normal now? Is it okay to want it less or more? Is something wrong with me? Or is this just what aging looks like? The truth is, sex after 60 doesn't look the same for everyone. For some women, intimacy softens and slows. For others, it becomes even more meaningful, even thrilling, once the pressure of youth fades. But shame, that doesn't belong in this chapter of life. You're not broken, you're not alone, and you're not wrong for wanting to understand how your needs have changed in this gentle guide. We'll look at what science actually says about intimacy in later life, and how to honor your desires without guilt. Let's talk about it, quietly, kindly, and honestly, because you still matter. And so does your pleasure. This video isn't here to shame you. It's here to explore what healthy intimacy really means for women over 60, biologically, emotionally, and socially. You'll learn how often sex actually happens in older age, what factors affect it, and why there's no one-size-fits-all answer. You deserve honest answers, without judgment. Tip 1. There's no normal number, and that's the point. You might hear whispers at brunch, in books, even from doctors, asking how often older people should be having sex. Some suggest once a week keeps the spark alive. Others say once a month is more realistic. And yet, somewhere deep down, you may feel uncertain, wondering if your body is keeping up or falling behind. Here's the truth. There is no universal standard. Research from the University of Chicago's National Social Life, Health, and Aging Project found that sexual frequency in older adults ranges wildly. Some couples in their 70s still have sex weekly, others haven't for years, and are still deeply satisfied in their relationships. What's common in the data is variety, not consistency. Life changes everything. Illness, menopause, grief, medication, stress, they all play a role in desire. And on the flip side, love, touch, and laughter can rekindle it, just as is. What matters most isn't a number, it's consent, comfort, connection, and communication. So if your best friend says she and her husband are at it like teenagers, celebrate her. And if you haven't felt the urge in months, don't shame yourself. There's nothing broken, just a different rhythm, one that belongs to you. The pressure to be normal steals joy. Instead, listen to your body. If it's whispering yes, that's beautiful. If it's asking for a pause, that's wise to. In the end, the healthiest frequency of sex is whatever feels right for you, not for society, not for your younger self, not even for your partner, unless that decision is made together, in love and respect. So how often should older people be having sex? As often or as little as they genuinely desire. And here's something else no one tells you. The definition of sex itself evolves with age. It's no longer confined to one act. It becomes more about closeness, eye contact, shared laughter, gentle kisses, and slow caresses. A foot rub on a tired day can mean more than a full night of passion. Science confirms it. The deeper the emotional connection, the greater the satisfaction, regardless of frequency. So, rather than count acts, count moments of intimacy. Did you hold hands today? Share a secret, feel seen. That's what nourishes the soul. And yes, the body too. Tip 2. Hormones change, but desire doesn't vanish. Maybe you've heard it from your doctor, or felt it yourself. That quiet shift in your body, dryness, fatigue, or just a pause. Menopause can arrive like a whisper or a storm. And for many women, it brings confusion. You may feel off, like the part of you that once felt so alive is dimming. But here's what research shows. Desire doesn't disappear with age, it simply changes shape. Estrogen and progesterone naturally decline after menopause, which can affect physical responses like arousal and lubrication. But this biological shift doesn't mean your sensual self is gone. In fact, studies from the North American Menopause Society reveal that emotional and mental intimacy often increase post-menopause. Even if the body behaves differently, think of it like a radio. The volume might go down, but the music is still playing, beautiful, familiar, and deeply yours. You just might need to adjust the dial to tune in again. And that's where new tools, communication, and self-compassion come in. Lubricants, topical estrogen creams, and even simple mindfulness practices can help reconnect the body and mind. Some women discover new pleasures at 65 they never noticed at 35, simply because they're listening differently now. You are not less of a woman because your hormones shifted. You are still worthy of warmth, of closeness, of joy. Desire doesn't belong to youth, it belongs to the heart. And yours still beats with passion, even if the rhythm has changed. So if you've been feeling less than, please know, this is just a new chapter, not the end of the story. There is still love, there is still touch, and there is still time. And if you're single or widowed, it's important to say this out loud. You are still allowed to feel desire. Society often treats older women's sexuality like it expires, but that's a lie. Whether you're with someone or exploring alone, your body belongs to you. Many women over 60 find empowerment in this stage, free from judgment, comparison, or performance. It's not about being sexy for someone else. It's about feeling alive in your own skin. This isn't about going back to how things were. It's about discovering who you are now. Tip 3. Communication is the real aphrodisiac. Maybe you've spent a lifetime putting others first. So when it comes to expressing what you want or don't want in bed, it might feel uncomfortable, even impossible. You're not alone. Many women over 60 were raised in a time when sex was whispered about, not discussed, where being good meant being silent. But silence isn't intimacy. And in this chapter of life, real closeness starts with your voice. Studies show that couples who openly talk about their desires, boundaries, and fears report higher satisfaction regardless of age. A 2022 study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine found that honest sexual communication was one of the strongest predictors of pleasure in older adults. Not technique, not frequency, not flexibility, just talking. It doesn't have to be a big, dramatic conversation. Sometimes it's as simple as saying, "That feels good," or "Can we try something slower?" It might mean sharing your insecurities, or asking your partner if they have any. The goal isn't perfection, it's connection. And if you don't have a partner, this still matters. Learning to express your needs, even just to yourself, is powerful. It helps rebuild confidence, especially if your body has changed, especially if your past included silence, pain, or shame. You don't have to explain your past to deserve a better present. You don't have to apologize for being curious, cautious, or hopeful. You are allowed to ask for what you want now, kindly, clearly, and without fear, because in the end, nothing awakens intimacy like being heard and held in return. And here's a beautiful truth many women overlook. Communication itself is intimacy. When you speak your truth, whether it's "I want more" or "I need a break," you're showing up as your full self, vulnerable, brave, honest. That moment of sharing creates a deeper bond than any physical act alone. For women over 60, this can be a rebirth, a second chance to reclaim what was once silenced, to say, "I matter," to ask, "What if we took our time this time?" To finally feel safe in being fully seen. Some couples even report falling in love all over again once the communication barrier is lifted. It's not about becoming someone new, it's about finally becoming yourself and letting your partner meet you there. So if you've been quiet for years, if you've gone along just to avoid conflict, know this: it's never too late to be honest, and it's never too late to be loved for who you really are. Tip 4. It's okay. If it looks different now, you might look back and remember those younger years, wild, spontaneous, full of passion, and maybe now, things feel slower, softer, sometimes awkward, sometimes absent altogether. It's easy to wonder if something's wrong, but different doesn't mean broken. Our bodies are constantly changing. Skin thins, joints ache, response time shifts. For many women, things like vaginal dryness, lower libido, or delayed arousal can feel discouraging. You might find yourself avoiding intimacy just to skip the discomfort physically and emotionally. But here's what no one says loudly enough: adaptation is not defeat, it's wisdom. Redefining sex in later life can mean longer foreplay, more communication, experimenting with touch rather than penetration, or simply cuddling in silence. According to AIRP's national survey, many women in their 60s and 70s report more satisfaction from intimacy, not because they're doing more, but because they're doing it with more meaning. You're not chasing an ideal anymore. You're embracing your reality, your pace, your preferences, your comfort. Sex now might involve a little more planning, maybe some humor, maybe a few pillows, but it can also hold more trust, more tenderness, and more truth. You get to decide what intimacy looks like. It might mean holding hands over coffee, falling asleep next to someone you love, or rediscovering self-pleasure in a new, compassionate way. What once felt like a performance can now feel like peace. There is beauty in this version of closeness, even if it looks nothing like the past. And if you feel grief for what intimacy used to be, that's okay too. You're allowed to mourn the ease or energy you once had. But just beneath that grief is something new waiting to be found, not a replacement, but an evolution. This version of your sexuality may be slower, but it can also be deeper. There's room now for quiet connection, for emotional safety, for laughing halfway through, for not needing to prove anything, only to feel. Some women say intimacy became more spiritual after 60, not in a religious sense, but in how present and cherished they feel. Not every moment needs to be fireworks. Sometimes, the smallest spark warms you the longest thoughts, so please, release the pressure to look or perform like your younger self. She was beautiful, but so are you, here and now. Tip 5. Single doesn't mean loveless if you're not in a relationship. Right now, whether by choice, divorce, or loss, you might wonder if this conversation even includes you, but it absolutely does. Being single doesn't mean your need for touch, connection, or intimacy vanishes. It simply shifts in how it shows up, and you are just as deserving of love in all its forms as anyone partnered. In fact, many single women over 60 are rediscovering themselves in beautiful, powerful ways. Some are dating again, slowly and cautiously. Others are exploring emotional intimacy through deep friendships. And many are reconnecting with their own bodies, maybe for the first time in decades, learning what brings comfort, pleasure, or simply peace. Self-touch, self-awareness, and self-compassion aren't replacements for a partner. They're foundations. When you understand your own needs, you become less likely to accept less than you deserve, and more likely to attract something real. Science supports this too. A study from the University of Michigan found that older women who felt comfortable with solo intimacy reported higher levels of self-esteem, better sleep, and even improved immune function. It's not about being naughty. It's about being whole. And if you choose not to pursue physical intimacy at all, that's valid too. Love can take the form of a warm friendship, a shared smile, or the quiet dignity of honoring your own space. You're not less than because you sleep alone. You're not incomplete without a partner. You are whole. You are worthy, and you belong in every conversation about love. And let's be honest, being single in this chapter can feel isolating. Society often forgets older women who live alone. Ads show young couples. Movies skip over us. And sometimes even our own families assume we no longer long for closeness. But here's what I want you to know. Your heart hasn't expired. Your story is still unfolding. And it's okay to crave something more, even if you're not sure what that more looks like yet. Try new experiences. Go to that art class. Say hello to someone at the cafe. Open your heart slowly, not for anyone else, but for you. Because love doesn't have an age limit, and connection isn't only physical, it's emotional, spiritual, and deeply human. Being single can be lonely, but it can also be liberating. You get to write this next chapter on your terms. Tip 6. Intimacy heals more than the body. You might think of sex and intimacy as physical acts. And yes, they are. But what if they're also medicine? Because when older women experience loving touch, whether through partnered intimacy, self-pleasure, or simple affection, the body responds in quiet but powerful ways. Research from Harvard Medical School shows that consistent emotional and physical closeness boosts oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which lowers cortisol stress, reduces blood pressure, and improves immune function. Touch also releases dopamine, supporting mental health and even helping with sleep. For women over 60, who may be navigating loneliness, grief, or health changes, this kind of connection isn't just pleasant, it's restorative, and it's not about intensity. It's about consistency. Even a soft hand on your back, a kiss on the forehead, or the feeling of someone breathing next to you can send messages to your brain. I am safe. I am wanted. I am not alone. That message matters, especially in a culture that often stops touching older women altogether. But here's the most beautiful part. Healing doesn't have to come from someone else. When you hold yourself with kindness, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, your body listens. A warm bath, a soft blanket, a hand pressed to your chest while breathing deeply. These are all ways of saying, I care about you. Intimacy is about connection, not performance. And every time you choose closeness with yourself or someone else, you're sending healing through your entire being. You are allowed to feel good. You are allowed to feel cared for. And that is health in its truest form. If you've spent years ignoring your body, tending to others, suppressing your needs, or just feeling like your desires didn't matter, it's not too late to return. Healing begins the moment you recognize that your body still belongs to you, that it's worthy of affection, that it still has stories to tell and softness to offer. Some women begin by simply looking in the mirror again, without judgment, by placing a hand over their heart at night and whispering, "Thank you." These small rituals remind your nervous system that you are safe now, that your body is not the enemy, it's your companion. It's been waiting for you to come home. There's peace in that, and strength. TOOTIP7. You deserve pleasure. Without shame, you may have grown up in a world that told you pleasure was dangerous, dirty, or selfish, especially for women. And even now, those messages can echo inside. I'm too old for this. Good women don't need that. My body isn't attractive anymore. But none of that is true. Not even a little. Pleasure is not a luxury. It's not a reward for looking a certain way. And it's definitely not something that expires with age. Pleasure is your birthright, no matter your shape, your scars, your history, or your hormones. Many older women have shared how they felt awakened in their 60s or 70s, not because of someone else, but because they finally stopped feeling guilty about enjoying their bodies, whether through solo exploration, a trusted partner, or simply savoring a moment of tenderness. They found freedom in letting go of shame. Medical experts now confirm what our bodies have been saying all along, that regular pleasure, even without intercourse, can support pelvic health, improve circulation, and boost emotional resilience. It's good for you, truly. But beyond the science, pleasure helps you reconnect with your senses, with your breath, with the parts of you that long to feel again, not just function. If you've spent decades disconnecting from your needs, it's okay to take small steps. Start with what feels safe, what feels good. There's no rush, no pressure, only this truth. You are still a woman. You are still worthy. And your joy matters right here, right now. Tip 8. There's no expiration date on love. You may have been told, subtly or directly, that after a certain age, romance becomes unrealistic, that love belongs to the young, that your chance has passed. But love, real love, is not bound by time. You are not too late. You are not too old. You are still growing, still evolving, still capable of breathtaking connection. Some women fall in love for the first time at 65. Some find a gentle second chance in their 70s. Others rediscover love in a decades-long marriage that suddenly feels new again. And for many, love shows up in unexpected forms. A loyal friend, a caring neighbor, a tender memory that wraps around the heart like a warm scarf. Science agrees. Studies from Stanford University have shown that older adults who experience emotional closeness, romantic or platonic, report higher life satisfaction, better brain function, and longer lives. Not because they followed a perfect path, but because they stayed open. Love at this stage may not look like movies or novels. It may be quieter, slower, but it's also more honest, more soulful, more about presence than performance. You don't need to shrink yourself to be loved. You don't need to chase youth to be chosen. The right love will honor your years, not erase them. It will celebrate your journey, not ask you to hide it. So if your heart still hopes, let it. If your body still longs, listen. There's no expiration date on love. There never was. So much changes with age. Our bodies, our needs, our expectations. But one thing stays constant: the human desire to be close, to be seen, to be loved. Whether you crave passion or peace, whether you're partnered or single, whether intimacy feels alive or far away, your experience is valid. You are not behind. You are simply here. And here is a powerful place to be. If today's words stirred something in you, let that be a beginning, not a conclusion. You are still writing your story, and there's so much left to feel. If this video made you feel seen, heard, or a little more hopeful, please leave a comment below and share your thoughts. Your voice matters here. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and help us grow a safe, shame-free space for women in their next chapter, because you're not alone, and you never have to be again. This is Elder Radiance, and we're not here to shame, we're here to shine.